Hey, welcome to Loose Change. Walk-ins are welcome. Come on in. I'm Jim Evans. Thanks for joining us. And you will be so glad you did. Wait till you see who's about to join us here in just a moment. But as we do, top of the show, what's been going on? Greg, as always, I'm at home laying on the couch, dozing, and TV's on. And I wake up and it's like, hey, it's UFC, MMA, cage fighting. People are punching and kicking, and wrestling and elbowing. And I'm like, wait, that's just a Trump rally they're showing. That's all it is. Also, lately I was at a restaurant in Cleveland, a cool restaurant in Cleveland, and they had this really unique menu. They had a special going on, select entrees. You could choose from the fresh cut veal or the fresh cut Manzel. So we don't have to do that much anymore, do we? I can't read it. That's what I thought it said. That's what I thought. Thanks, Greg. Our cue card budget still. I came across this list as I like to do. I search for these types of things, and it was like a character sketch of actors and entertainers. And what they did was they assigned adjectives to that specific particular person. And it was a big long list. Just a few that come to mind. For instance, Sean Penn, misunderstood. Charlie Sheen, misguided. Steve Harvey, Miss Columbia. We're going to start right with that, Greg. Oh, and Walmart is closing 270 stores. The company says it will affect some 16,000 workers and over 2 million shoplifters. Hey, we're going to lift up our shop a lot. Gina Marinelli joins us next, right here on Loose Change. Stick with us.
You can watch your favorite TV shows here, or even here. Anywhere there's an internet connection. With your Armstrong subscription and access to the internet, you can watch TV everywhere in your home or on the go. Download apps from your favorite networks like FX, ESPN, Sprout, and more directly to your wireless device. Sign in once and start watching. Take Armstrong TV with you everywhere. One wire, infinite possibilities.
Welcome back to Loose Change. I wasn't kidding, was I? Look who's here, everyone. The one, the only, Gina Marinelli. Gina, it's great to see you. We finally got a chance to do this. We tried to get together here previously, but so glad that you were able to make it, and thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. I'm flattered to have gotten an invitation.
Well, that was no problem, certainly on our end. And I know you've watched the show. You told me you saw 10 minutes of it, and then you had to shut it off. But what we like to do is, for those who don't know, a lot of people do know you, of course, but for those who don't know, to start off, if you just give us a little resume background, where you're from, where you went to school, and how your career took its path.
Okay. I was born in Youngstown. I grew up in Canfield, graduated Canfield High School, and I went to YSU. And while I was still a student, I got an internship at WYSU, and that led to an internship at WKBN radio, and that led to full-time radio, and then half of my day was TV, half my day was radio, and then I went over to the TV side and did street reporting, and then I became anchor.
Right.
And then there was the merger, and some people were let go, and I ended up at what was then Humility of Mary Health Partners, is now Mercy Health. Okay. I do fundraising.
And you're doing some other radio stuff as well, but we'll get to that here shortly. But you mentioned about your situation of doing half in radio and half in TV. Now I still remember that little newsroom we were all
tiny newsroom,
the old newsroom, and but it was functional and it worked for all of us.
Do you remember the broadcast booth?
Yes.
It was like the size of a small child's closet.
Yes.
Tiny.
If that.
Yeah.
If that. But it worked at the time for us. What was it that intrigued you or got your interest to be in broadcasting?
Well, actually, that was never my path.
Okay.
That wasn't what I was going to YSU for. I was going for social work. And I needed an elective, so I took Intro to Broadcasting with Dick James. And he had so much enthusiasm for broadcasting. Yeah. And it was contagious, really. And he told me, you have a good voice, you should go in radio. So I listened to him. So that's how I actually ended up in communications.
You're right. He describing him being enthusiastic about radio and broadcasting, that's perfect. He was a really great guy.
He loved it. He loved broadcasting.
Yeah. Did you perhaps enjoy one more than the other, as radio compared to TV, or was it the same? I know they both had different challenges.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, I never wanted to be on television. I wanted to do radio, and I really enjoyed radio. And at the time, WKBN was television and radio newsroom. So I had a very unique opportunity to actually learn from the television journalists who at that time were top-notch. They were really good seasoned journalists. So I got to learn from them. They let me go out on stories with them. And I'll never forget, Mona Alexander actually wrote a story, and she just said, "Why don't you voice this?" To her, it was just voice this, and we'll get it on the air. To me, that was huge.
Oh, of course.
That was huge. And everyone, I got comments from people, and I still didn't want to be on TV. I still enjoyed radio, and I actually had to be talked into going on television because it just intimidated me. Radio, we were used to doing 20-second stories, maybe 30, and that's with the cart and the soundbite.
Yep.
And to think I would have to take that same 20-second story and make it into a minute 45 was very intimidating. But luckily, I had mentors who really helped me, and I think I was there for the right reason. I wasn't there to be on television. I was telling stories and reporting the news through television versus radio.
You mentioned doing internships. I've had the good fortune to teach some classes at YSU, and that's one thing I always emphasize in the telecom department. That certainly in any field, but in telecom to do that. Get that internship. That was a big thing for you, wasn't it?
It was, because you learn more in an internship than you do from any classroom book setting. I mean,
sure do.
You really
Yeah.
learn. None of that is in the books.
Nope.
So it was great. It was a lot of fun.
What was if you can recall, what was the biggest challenge as you got going into radio as a news person?
A new, versus TV, or
Just in general as you got your career going, or was it for you? Did it just kind of happen for you?
I have to say it just sort of happened for me. I don't think if I planned it, it never would have turned out the way it did. But I really love telling the stories, and I love the timing of it and the immediacy of it. So yeah.
And of course, you got to work with John Nagy and
I got to
Jim
work
Michaels.
with John Nagy, Jim Michaels, Dan Ryan,
Yep.
Mike Gauntner. It was a great crew. It was a really wonderful experience.
And of course, you get to the TV side. What was the biggest challenge? I guess we'll move that question over to that side. And as you got into TV journalism, what was the biggest challenge as compared to radio when you got rolling on that?
I would have to say the stand-up, because
Okay.
I was not used to myself being part of the story. So that was really a challenge. I would think, what am I going to say? So then, eventually watching the other reporters, I would learn, when you didn't have video, that was a good bridge. Or going from one subject to another, or interviews. So that was really a challenge, was the stand-up. And the live reporting, of course.
And of course, like doing anything else, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And
Hopefully,
certainly,
yeah.
well, in most cases,
Yeah.
but certainly you were able to do that. And did you enjoy doing TV then after you got going into it, maybe more than doing the radio side?
You know what? I didn't think that I would, but I actually did. And you get into, how fun it is. You get to.
It's not a regular job.
It's
yes.
not a we get to meet people you wouldn't otherwise meet. We get to go places, see things. It's really a unique opportunity. The flip side is you're sitting at that city council meeting or that zoning board hearing, or something like that, and you start to zone out yourself, and you realize, I can't, because I'm the one who has to
Right.
tell everybody what happened, so I have to pay very close attention. And I think I was really, really hard on myself on accuracy. I mean, it's only human, you're going to make mistakes, but I really didn't want to make mistakes, so I would really focus on that. And going back over some of the stuff, I think I was, for a new journalist, I wasn't that bad.
No, you were more. Certainly not. Certainly way more than that. Again, we talked before we got going about, our time there at TV 27. What a great group of people that we had to work with and for at
Top
that
notch.
time. And it was really, a unique experience for myself, and I know for you, as you said, and Greg as well. And we're fortunate to have had that experience.
Those were great times. Now, prior to that, I know that it was just a great group of people.
Yes.
The engineers would never come down into the newsroom. The salespeople would never. But for that one moment in time, there was a really good meeting of the minds. And everyone's personality clicked. Everybody got along, and we even did things. We would take little field trips, and we had a great time.
And not to sound cliche-ish, but that really helped in terms of having that synergy that you might need, and the teamwork that really is necessary to make the whole operation go.
Right. The engineers had our back. They always do, but it was, it was special because we all liked each other.
And people were able to socialize as well. I think that was a big thing. It wasn't just everybody went, and there's certainly some people had to go do their thing, but we were able to socialize and develop and enhance our friendships with everyone.
Bill Bullett's corn roast, remember that?
Oh, gee.
That, and we worked the evening shift. You would get off at 11:30, and while most
that
people,
wasn't always easy.
No, most people are in bed sleeping by then. Our night, when you're young and single, your night's just getting started.
Sure.
So there were a lot of late nights.
Well, people would stay up and watch you guys do the news, and then by the time they get to our sports, then they would fall asleep.
No. There were plenty of people who watched for the
Yeah,
sports.
I know.
You remember the Splendid?
Yes, I do. And a lot of other places.
Yes.
But that was all part of it, and part of the, it was really part of the, not to overuse this word, the real fabric of this area was, of the valley was WKBN radio and TV.
Right.
Major part of it.
Right. And, we had, most of the talent was hometown people.
Correct.
Which was really good. We had roots in the community. We knew the community's history. We knew who to call. That was a real plus. You don't see that too often anymore.
And of course, we mentioned all the people, and unfortunately, some great ones, have left us. And we had the great pleasure to work with, of course, Don Guthrie, and of course, Tom Holden.
Tom Holden. What's your favorite Tom Holden story?
Well, I have a lot of them. I really can't tell them here. We're a couple minutes before a break, but what might be, what was you had a chance to get close to Tom, with your position as a co-anchor, and what was that like for you?
I was his work wife. He was my TV husband.
Wow.
Yeah,
You were Mary Tyler Moore.
And he was Lou Grant. He was wonderful. The one thing I always wanted people to know about Tom Holden was his sense of humor.
Yes.
And he had a very young sense of humor because he was always around young people,
That's
teaching
true.
at the university and being around us in the newsroom. His sense of humor was just hilarious, and how he liked to play. Well, maybe I liked to play pranks and got him into it, so we all did that. But I have so many Tom stories. I really miss him. I wish he was still here.
We all do, for sure.
And Don, too.
Of course, and I learned from even just doing on the sports side. I still learn from both of those guys from what they did professionally and how they maneuver through the TV business.
Well, Tom was my professor at YSU, and I'll never forget the first time I saw him. I think I actually went, oh, that's Tom Holden, because he was so iconic, and he was so tall, and it was larger than life.
Yeah.
Who's like that anymore?
But and I remember him for being such a great guy and just a regular person as he was. He was a true professional, though.
He used to call himself a blue-collar professional.
Yes.
And that's so true. I'll never forget that, because he really was.
That was a good description.
Right.
For
He
him.
never got, big-headed or thought he was better than anyone because of his career.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back and talk more about Tom and our TV days and your career and how that has taken shape. It's Gina Marinelli. I'm Jim Evans. We'll be right back here on Loose Change.
Armstrong Local Programming features our community like no one else. Meet your friends and neighbors at special events. Find the perfect pet. Celebrate our region's rich history or enjoy our natural wonders. Armstrong Local Programming is available online, on demand, and on your local Armstrong channel. Find the complete program schedule at ArmstrongOneWire.com. Local programming, exclusively from Armstrong. One Wire, infinite possibilities.
Welcome back to Loose Change with Gina Marinelli. I'm Jim Evans. And Gina, we were talking about Tom Holden before the break. Do you have a favorite Tom Holden story that you can relay here? I know there's so many.
All right, here's one. I used to take my pic. We had so many promotional photographs.
Yes.
We had that, and I would take my picture and I would cut it out and I would put it places where he would find it. He'd pick up his phone and it would be there, and so we started doing these silly things. Well, I thought, here, it's Friday. He's going golfing. I'm going to put my picture on the license plate. So there's my picture on the license plate. Well, he goes, puts his clubs in, goes the whole weekend, goes up to Cleveland for he loved the Tribe.
Yes.
Never once saw it until that Sunday night. I think his son Sean said, "Dad, what's Gina's picture doing on your license plate?" And so, and he came back that Monday, and I said, "Well, I thought for sure you put your clubs in the trunk. I thought for sure you'd see it." And so that was fun, and he laughed about that, and he ended up putting his picture everywhere too.
I remember the gag that you guys used to run. But doing that kind of stuff though, that helped you guys come showtime, come news time.
I mean, he was a mentor. He was a friend. He did nothing but support me all along. Even when I was in radio, he had nicknames for everyone. What was yours?
I didn't have one.
You didn't?
No.
Well, I was the doll. And he would tell me, "Doll, you got to get into this. This is a good gig."
I remember he nicknamed everyone.
Everyone. Shoe Guy,
He just called me
Chang,
Jimmy, that's all, yeah.
Jimmy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Jimmy E.
I guess. But
he was a mentor and really a very close friend. And actually, I gave his eulogy. Actually,
Yes,
and I was really honored by his family asking, and I was there, almost when he passed, and it was, he was wonderful.
But and having that relationship as you did, you could sense that when you guys were doing the news, and there was a comfort zone there between the two of you. You could tell that you really got along together personally. It wasn't. You could tell once in a while you watched Anchors,
say, right.
and how that could be so
those
rigid.
Two aren't really.
But you guys had that.
Yeah, all four of us did. Everybody on the set did really.
Yeah, you're right.
We were very fortunate.
And I still remember, and I relayed this before. Tom and Don and Jim Campbell and myself had the opportunity to go play a lot of golf. Oh, yeah. That was one thing about our working that afternoon shift. We had summertime, the four of us could go golfing, and that was really special for me, and I always cherished that, spending time with those guys.
I know he loved it too.
Oh, yeah.
He did too.
Without a doubt. What would you say to young people if you aren't already doing that, that are aspiring to become TV and media journalists today?
Well, you know what? It's so different now
because
everyone's a journalist. Everyone's got a camera phone.
Okay.
There's Twitter. There's electronics. It's even now you see the national press. They're doing interviews on their phones, and you don't necessarily need the good camaraderie between the photographer and the reporter, which is also special. I would basically tell them, get into it for the right reasons. Don't go into journalism, TV journalism, if you want to be on TV. Because that's just, and you could spot them. Mm-hmm. You could see the people who are actual journalists and those who just want to be on TV. So I would say go into it with the right reasons. Be prepared to work long hours, weekends, holidays. How many holidays did we work?
Most of them.
Most of them, yeah. Read a lot.
Yes.
Get your hands on editorials. Mm-hmm. Watch other, points of view. Not just your own. But, just do a lot of reading and kind of know your topic.
I think you can do that now, even with the internet, but that has really come into play more than certainly it did, early on when we were there and doing that. But yeah, that's a great point for young people to further enhance, their wealth of knowledge by reading, and you can't put enough premium on that.
Right. That helps with stand-ups too.
Yeah, but is there a back to what you were doing quickly? Is there a particular story or interview or feature that you did that still sticks with you today?
Two off the top, and both
Sure.
of them are crime stories. The first one is when Flip Williams, not Flip Wilson, Flip Williams was a notorious gang member in the city.
Yep.
And he was in the Mahoney County Jail awaiting trial, and he somehow broke out and made his way to the Juvenile Justice Center, where he was going to kill the young woman who was going to testify against him. Somehow found a police officer's, and impersonated his way and got in there. And my mother called me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was still up. And she said, somebody just called and said there's something going on at the sheriff's department for you to get down there. So I call, thinking it's a fluke, and they verify it. I call Mona, I call Tom Russo, the photographer, and we ended up with a really good story. And the other was the night that Joey Nables was shot.
Oh, yeah.
We were sitting at a Poland Village Council meeting, and they were talking about the facade of some building, and we're all just kind of zoning out, and we had pagers at that time. Everyone's pager goes off. And luckily, Tommy and I got there.
I still have one here.
Tommy Russo and I got there actually before the ambulance got there, before, the family was there. And so, the police officers really didn't like us being there, but in this instance, they were looking for shell casing. They needed our lights. So that was just a memorable night, very memorable.
For sure. You kind of already answered my next question, but just in general, overall, because I know you still are in tune with the news and everything, how do you feel the TV news industry has changed beyond, you mentioned everybody has the cell phone and everything now, but anything else that...
Well, real quick, one more story, a positive.
Sure, no, that's all right.
A man who survived Auschwitz lived in...
Oh.
Yes, Bill Vey. He lived in Liberty. And we went there to do, Schindler's List had just come out, and so we needed to get some of the perspective of survivors. So, they wanted it for that night. And as we were leaving, he said to me, well, you were here longer than the Steven Spielberg people. And I stopped. I said, what?
They were here.
Yeah, they interviewed him.
I didn't know that.
And so I stopped, and I actually called the newsroom, and I said, we have got to we can't run this story tonight. We have to do a really good job on this and treat this with respect, because this man, out of his whole family, survived Auschwitz. And it was actually, when I think about it, he ran into his father years after the war, only he didn't recognize him. He recognized an old man who looked at him in the street and started crying. And it took him a few minutes to realize that it was his father and he had survived. So I never forgot that. He was a wonderful person.
I'm glad you relayed that, because that's good too. Something different from crime that, that unfortunately dominates a lot of the news. But
what a sweet man, just a really wonderful soul. If you went through that ugly experience, you might be jaded and angry, but he wasn't. He was a wonderful person. But as far as how journalism has changed...
Has it changed for the better, in your estimation?
I think some things are better.
Okay.
But I think as a whole, I don't think so.
Hard to say. Yeah.
I don't think it's better. You see a lot of turnover.
True.
And you see, everyone starts. Everybody's got to start, But you see very young faces, and clearly unfamiliar with the area, and I don't think they're getting, it's just, I don't know. I think the viewer suffers a little bit when you have a constant flow of new reporters on the streets.
Do you think it's changed, though, on a grand scale for the better, even at the network level, or do you see things different now that you'd say, wow, they're doing it different now?
I see a lot of, blurred lines on the national, where we have people like Bill O'Reilly and Rachel Maddow. They're commentators. They are not reporters.
Right.
So they give their perspective. But then you see in the networks, you see some of the correspondents sort of giving a little bit of opinion, and even the news anchors.
Yeah.
So,
More so than
it
used to.
Yeah.
It used to be almost, sometimes I sense, it used to be, get the facts, tell a great story. Now it's tell a great story, then get the facts.
Right,
I don't know.
right. No, you had to be right, and when you were wrong, that was just crushing.
And that's across the board. I'm not,
Right. But now it's, get it first, and,
right.
you know.
Well, you have moved on to other things, since the TV days, and you're doing a radio thing at WYSU. Talk about that.
Yeah, actually Tricia Perry called me up and she said, hey, would you be interested in doing a radio show on WYSU? And I don't think she even stopped talking before I said absolutely yes, because it was, it's funny because that's where my first radio job was. And so it's kind of fitting that that's where I'm back there. And actually when I started doing the program almost 2 years ago, it was still in the basement of Cushwa, the same carpeting, the same things on the wall, almost nothing had changed. And now a couple of weeks ago they moved to a different location. But yeah, it was fun. I love it. It's an opportunity.
When can people check that out?
It's called Doing Good, and it's on Tuesday mornings, drive time at 5:45 a.m. and 7:45 a.m. And the program, actually they said, you could do whatever you want. No crime, no politics. And I thought, oh no, what am I going to do now? But you know what? It really isn't hard finding, I've been, like I said, for almost 2 years, and I haven't really had a tough time finding people who are doing good things.
Great.
So it's fun.
We have, about a minute and a half, I think Greg has let us know. Obviously, you had mentioned at the top about what you're doing with Humility Mary, and how has your broadcast career helped you transition into doing what you're doing there? Or has it?
Well, it actually has.
Yeah, I would think it would.
When you have to make appointments with important people, you want to be known. You want them to take the call, and it helps when you have a well-known name.
Correct. Yeah.
So that was a plus, and it too has been chapter 2 in my career has been really. I'm very thankful because I get the opportunity to only talk with people who want to do good things, whether they're very wealthy or not so wealthy, or just even volunteer. They want to do good things. It's a privilege.
In our final moment, is there anything coming up that you're involved with that you'd like to pass along that folks should know about?
This is going to be the 6th year of Panerathon.
Wow.
Yeah, the first year we did it, a collaboration with Covelli Enterprises and Mercy Health for the Joni Abdu Center at St. E's. Last year, we hit the $1 million mark.
Wow. And
the first year we were hoping for 500 people. And we actually got 1,000. And every year it's grown. And last year we had, between spectators, runners and walkers in the children's area, we had 10,000 people. So it's Youngstown's biggest fundraiser. It's great. Well, and all the proceeds go for the people in our own community.
Keep up the great work for sure.
Thank you.
And it's great to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Appreciate
your time.
It's fun.
Gina Marinelli.
Jim Evans.
We'll be back to wrap it up here on Loose Change.
Turn your whole home on to high-definition programming. With Armstrong's HD digital adapter, it's easier and more affordable than ever. The HD TV in the kitchen? Finally get high-definition picture and sound. The HD TV in the family room? Add all your favorite high-def channels at a price you can afford. Our HDDA now features an on-screen guide. To order your HD digital adapters, visit armstrongonewire.com/turniton. Armstrong, One Wire, infinite possibilities.
Well, again, unfortunately, we are out of time. That's going to do it for this edition of our show. Thanks so much to Gina Marinelli, and for Greg Roten, I'm Jim Evans. Catch us next time right here on Loose Change. You should do that.